Here we go, episode 724 of the Wrestling is Real podcast. This is King of Podcasts. Welcome you to another episode. If you haven't done so, make sure to go ahead and bookmark wrestlingisreal.com. The website is wrestlingisreal.com, where you can find everything on the show. Video of the show, of the latest episode. You can find audio versions of the episodes, where to subscribe, and how to follow yours truly. All of it's right there, plus the latest news, wrestling headlines, all in one spot, wrestlingisreal.com. And there's a lot to go on to talk about this weekend, because I'm just going to have to say it like this. I wish Impact Wrestling did not run Bound for Glory this weekend. Just too crowded. Plus the fact that they didn't decide to run it on a Sunday. They decided to run it on a Friday, excuse me. So you're going to run it on a Friday while Smackdown's going on live on the WWE side. AEW is going to run Rampage live and a live Battle of the Belts 4 on Friday. So I'm going to have to do it like this. Bound for Glory is going to have to be tabled until Saturday. I'm not going to have time to watch that show and cover everything else. Plus, I want to go see Amsterdam at the movies this weekend. So, yeah, it's going to have to take a little bit of a wait until Saturday night for me to record the show. That's what I'll do, because I'll watch it Saturday night and I'll record it, and that's what I'm going to do. Pretty much the best thing I'm going to be able to do. Not much else I can do. So anyways, let's go along with it. First of all, a lot of news coming up with Extreme Rules this weekend, which is on Saturday. Well, man, how am I going to do this then? Because I guess what I'm going to have to do is I can't do Extreme Rules. Man, this is ridiculous. I'm just doing this on the fly and looking at the schedule. I'm like, well, Bound for Glory, man, you're going to make me have to wait. I guess I'm going to have to wait till Sunday. So Saturday, I will talk about Extreme Rules. We'll do a post show for that. And then Sunday night, I'll have time to watch Bound for Glory, and I'll have to cover it Sunday night. That's the best I can do in this situation. I'm not staying home on Friday. I want to go out. And I'm going to watch enough wrestling going on with WWE and AEW in the first place. Bound for Glory, bad timing. I know this is your weekend, but everybody decided to get across it. And you know, I wish you guys would have just moved it over to like the next week. I know this is your weekend. Normally it's that first week of October, first weekend. But man, what a rough patch. At least if you could have run on Sunday, but I know you can't. You don't want to do it up against the NFL. I understand. That's why you're going to do it like this. Friday night, Albany, New York. That's going to be going with that. And then Extreme Rules in Philadelphia on Saturday. So we'll have the post shows for that. We're going to preview and predict on both of those coming up tonight. And there's so much more. Because overall, my bullhorn, my bully pulpit, this platform, of which I've been on here for almost 10 years, I will continue to keep hammering the same message over and over again, because what Triple H is doing, he's created a product which is entertaining, watchable. But we have to concern ourselves of what needs to be done on the higher level when it comes to the main event. And there's a couple of stories I'm going to point out that will talk about this, that will help out and talk about these things. Plus, we have to talk about a couple of things of some back and forth between actual wrestlers on the AEW roster that happened tonight, and has been going on for about a week now, and two celebrity wrestlers that have been appearing on WWE and have appeared a couple times on WWE pay-per-views or premium live events. So we're going to talk about that. So yeah, Logan Paul accusing Bad Bunny of Puerto Rico tax program exploitation. We'll talk about that in a second. And Andrade El Idolo and Sammy Guevara involved in a backstage fight before AEW Dynamite. And Sammy Guevara stayed around, got the pin Daniel Garcia in the main event of a tag team match. And there you go. And obviously there's people out there that are complaining both about where AEW and WWE is. And AEW can go ahead and be continued to be attacked and gone after because of the backstage stuff going on, but it's not affecting the ratings. It's not affecting what's going on. Now, last week, their ratings did take a hit because of Hurricane Ian. If you look at their weather channel, a lot of people were watching it because the brunt of the storm was barreling down on Fort Myers, Naples, Southwest Florida, which is across the coast for me. And so I will say this again, that it's unfortunate that we had what was going on with that to deal with. And I wish nothing but thoughts and prayers, and requesting all of you to make donations if you want to the Florida Disaster Fund, floridadisasterfund.org, if you want to go ahead and donate there. And I also know the Red Cross is doing something like that too. So just think about that and keep that in mind if you want to do that. But let's get into the actual meat of the matter. So one story that I have not heard about yet too much of, and I only saw through Cage Side Seats, they brought up a story where WWE has hired a former Marvel Disney writer as the director of long-term creative. Now, this is going exactly to the point I've been making for the last month and a half. I didn't want to bring a major point here, but like I said, it was where Triple H was going to come in. He was going to make his point. He was going to go ahead and shuffle things back to a place where things got more logical. Things are a little more relatable, a little more noticeable. People are, the crowds are enjoying it. The fans are enjoying it, watching at home. Wrestling Twitter has been a lot more positive as of late. And because of that, where WWE's been in a more positive direction, there have been a lot of people that have gone after AEW for the last month because of the backstage stuff. I understand that. Everything since All In has come out, and it's been you could say it's disruptive, but that's just for the dirt sheets. That's just for those out there on Twitter that want to go and talk about it. So when they hear about Andrade and Sammy going after each other, it's a backstage thing. It was not affected on the television, not reflected or not brought up on television. But if things need to happen where certain heads are getting hot back there, whoever knows why or what, obviously Sammy Guevara being involved in another altercation backstage. First it was Eddie Kingston, now it's Andrade El Idolo. Whatever that might be, is happening. And I'm not here to go ahead and figure out why it's going on. I just know that it is. But everybody wants to go ahead and attack right there. But I need to focus on, that's the noise. I'm going to come back to the signal where things really need to change, where we need the ultimate change in the WWE, because we can see through their ratings. All right. SmackDown's doing fine. That's not the issue. And you know why SmackDown's doing fine? Is because as long as you have the Bloodline there, sandwiched at the beginning and the end of a show, that show's going to do just fine. No question there. They're going to do just fine. But SmackDown and Raw, there's going to be Raw and NXT, different story. They're both being affected. The ratings continue to be hurt because of Monday Night Football. And then Tuesday nights, it's on its own. We've had a third straight week on NXT of ratings dropping. And this is after they made the change visually to the product. Now, the product hasn't changed much, but they're trying to make some changes to transition the show out of the rainbow. And I don't know if it's going to still stay the most of the developmental, but they've made changes in the last month that might not have reflected well, because the change they did make was when they folded NXT UK. And now you have those stars embedded into the NXT product with the developmental. So the likes of gals, JD McDonough, Tyler Bate, those are the stars now that you have to bring in that are getting brought in here and being recognized. And I'm like, well, is it doing that much better? I don't know. But as we said, SmackDown this past weekend, if I look at their results from last weekend, remember 2 weeks ago, they pulled 2.5 million viewers, which is very strong for them. 2.535. And if I look at the ratings for last week, they might have dropped a bit, because it did go down 2.2 million viewers. But there is something to be said about when SmackDown's on. And a story I'm going to take from Last Word on Sports, they make the point that the viewership number did take a hit. And the Blue Brand's still doing a good job maintaining audience, as the week marked the fourth week in a row that it topped 2.2 million viewers. But when Roman Reigns is announced to appear on SmackDown, viewers are going to tune in. When he's not, you lose some viewers. And that's been pretty obvious right there. And so that's one of the things you have to think about. Now, let's talk about this creative issue. Let's get back to this. I know, I got to circle back. So this happened yesterday. Sean Reuter, Cage Side Seats, reports from Fightful Select and WP Insider confirming Rob Fee, ROBFEE, was officially hired as the Director of Long-Term Creative. That is the name they've given. He will start that job this month, but he's already been working on the White Rabbit story that's been driving the internet crazy for the last few weeks. Interesting. And so we need to have someone that can't be booking moment to moment. We need long-term booking. We need to go and look down the line as to where things are going to go with the direction of the product. And by the way, they need to do this now, and Rob Fee needs to hit the ground running because Royal Rumble got very good initial first day ticket sales, 25,000 seats sold for San Antonio, Texas, and the Alamo Dome. And as we know, about 90,000 seats have already been sold over 2 nights for SoFi Stadium and WrestleMania. So they're going to get big crowds for both of these shows. They need to perform best at these 2 shows. But what doesn't help with them is the fact that they have some issues going on with the ratings on Raw and NXT. 1.559 million viewers this past week. And if I looked at the numbers, I think it was 1.7, 1.6, and 1.4 million viewers for hour 3 overall. Monday Night Football again, 49ers and Rams, 12 million viewers, blowing up the spot. It's going to continue to do that. And by the way, I think ABC also ran it. So overall, you still have to worry about that part. There's not much that's being done here where they can really make much of a dent. Monday Night Football is destroying them, but it doesn't mean that we should have that complete drop of the lineup altogether and see this all happen. That shouldn't be happening. But it is. Yeah, so ABC did not run Monday Night Football. But like I said, it ran 1.6 million viewers for the main cast, 10.8 million viewers for ESPN. That's still pretty strong across the board. And taking over the top 6 spots of cable's top 50 original telecast, with WWE being 7th, 8th, and 9th. Interesting that, yes, 1.701, hour 1. 1.683, hour 2. 1.413, hour 3. Wow. Tumbling down. Now, we can look at what they've done in terms of what were the shows that they decided to run. What did they run on the product that made things suffer so bad? Let's bring up that part. I'm going to continue to analyze this. I'm not going to stop because this needs to be said. And I know other people are not going to come out there because everybody wants to be critical. And listen, I'm going to be critical of AEW like everybody else. But I'm going to be critical about this product because the change that Triple H is making right here, he's only been 2 months or so, or, roughly, 2.5 months on in this. And we need to see this main event. This main event picture needs to get clarified, especially when we get closer to Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. And there are 2 people right now I can absolutely see if Roman Reigns was going to take on one of them, or both, for the undisputed Universal Championship at WrestleMania. I'd say it's Cody and Seth. Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins. You could put them in a triple threat, or you could put them together. That might be the way you get Roman Reigns to lose the title as a triple threat where he doesn't get pinned. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But we have to figure out what they're going to do. Anyway, Raw this week, starting off with Judgment Day, AJ Styles, Damian Priest, promo, followed by the match. Bobby Lashley in action. Riddle and Rollins in another segment, confronting each other in the ring. And by the way, when you have for the women now, you can see the difference of what's going on there. Dakota Kai because of damage control, and Candice LeRae, which, as far as I know, they're not getting much of a response. The crowd does not care about this match. The crowd does not care about Candice LeRae, and I don't think they care much about Johnny Gargano. It might have been darlings of NXT, but that main roster is vicious. And that crowd, if they don't know you and they don't care about you, they're not going to. And then you had these matches that were kind of like the piecemeal together, Otis and Johnny Gargano, Braun Strowman and Chad Gable. The contract signing for Belair and Bayley. And then the women's tag team champion, Io Sky against Alexa Bliss, which was a match made within the show. No build up to that main event. No wonder it went ahead and tanked the third hour, because no one was interested in that. We can continue to see Raw being counter-programmed with women, being shown and prominently shown in matches on that card, which is why Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae get quite a bit of time. Same thing for the contract signing for Bayley and Belair, and the part with Io Sky and Alexa Bliss. And look, they still did things to go and promote, like Extreme Rules. We're not doubting that. Like, there's a reason and a purpose for all the stuff that they were doing on those shows. Don't get me wrong. But it's the star power. It's the appeal. That main event crowd, not your core audience, not that NXT audience of 600,000, 700,000, maybe 8. They have to scope and scale the audience outside of their normal bubble. And so Rob Fee has to be that person. Well, let's talk about him a little bit. He's worked as a producer with stars like Will Smith, Ellen DeGeneres, and Ryan Reynolds. He's written more than 100 episodes of the Disney XD series Player Select. He's a horror writer for Marvel Comics. Now, they're also saying that Rob Fee was very relatable to the product because he actually wrote an article titled Shed Your Shame, Why Everyone Should Just Admit They Love Professional Wrestling back in 2015. And before Bray Wyatt's release, Fee actually pitched a Fiend-related movie. So I don't know much about this guy at all, but let's go look at his LinkedIn profile since they brought it up in this article. He has penned comics for Spider-Man, Daredevil, and the Avengers. He's also worked on multiple Disney shows. Now, he did work with Will Smith on the Fresh Prince Reunion and Will from Home, a Snapchat series, exclusive for Snapchat. He also did a Snap series with Ryan Reynolds, and he also was a producer for The Ellen Show, and also was a producer on MTV's Ridiculousness, and as a creative consultant for Netflix, Crypt TV, and several esports organizations. And he's done everything from concept to completion. He's been a showrunner, director, producer, writer, an okay editor, and anything in between. So he is a Swiss Army knife when it comes to this product. Okay. He has thousands of essays and articles published across multiple websites. He's a comedian, so he's done his own stand-up. And he runs a lot of social media for more celebrities than you expect. Interesting. So prior to that, senior producer for Publicis Group, which is a big PR agency. Head writer for Envy Gaming, excuse me. And I'm looking head writer for Disney Channel. He worked with Prohibited, which is a TV outfit that I know about myself because I actually talked to the guys that run that a while back. Also creative producer for YouTube for a year. He was working on a YouTube Red talk show series. Also wrote for Comedy Central. He's got a lot of stuff here. And he's written for many different shows and many different projects for CBS Interactive, for Playboy, for IFC. He also wrote for National Lampoon almost a decade ago. How about that? So there's a lot there. We'll see if he can do that, or if he can do any good. I mean, the backdrop is interesting. his choice of what he's done for social media, specifically working with Snapchat. I don't know what to feel about that because I don't remember seeing a whole lot of viability behind that. But we have to see what comes up. We need somebody to come in and take this spot. So if this is the case, the fact they gave him this title, this long-term creative position would have to be something that Vince would have been more involved with himself, which because they never had someone that did this. But this guy has to be a facilitator among Triple H, Bruce Pritchard, and among who else there is there that is of importance in the company with any particular input towards the product. So, and we have to find out what they're going to do. Now, if the White Rabbit thing is something he's responsible for, that's wonderful. That'd be nice to see that he actually is doing something with that and it's making something that will be indicative of what he does. But we still have to see the payoff of the White Rabbit. If it's going to be Bray Wyatt, we don't know what he's going to return as. We don't know how it's going to return after all, but that's okay. We can wait. We can wait and find out what it's going to be. As long as they do that, it's fine. But anyway, WWE's right now where it's at, where SmackDown is still the consistently much more solid show altogether. You start off with Bloodline at the beginning with Sikoa and Zayn, which still keeps the audience from watching here and keeps it very involved and engaged. Ronda Rousey being featured on the show. Imperium along with Brawling Brutes. You have that going on. Bayley has her first match on the show. And then you have Drew McIntyre, Johnny Gargano, and Kevin Owens in action with Austin Theory and Alpha Academy all put together as your main event. But all it was worth was like, pretty customary show. But Friday nights work much better. But I'll tell you, there's a lot to be said about where things are going to go with this product and what they need to do to go and help improve it and to get somewhere with it. I mean, for me, it comes down to the fact that I need to find, are they going to have the people that will help build that main event up and make it something where people are going to be seeing multiple people of absolute interest to tune people into the program? Now, I remember that 2.5 million. Well, no, actually, before that, it was, they still were hitting 2.2 million and all with the fact that they had Roman Reigns and Logan Paul. Now, I forget which episode that he was on. But let me just check here real quick. Because I can't remember which episode that Logan Paul was on that made him do so well. I got to go back and look at that. So the one where they got 2.5 million viewers, that was Sami Zayn starting off the night, acknowledging Roman Reigns in a major Bloodline angle to start. And then before that, the 16th, you had the Bloodline at the start of that show as well. Because they had to do it. That's what's going to get people to watch. Now, with that said, you remember that Logan Paul came out and confronted Paul Heyman, and I forget where things were, but you know what? What they're doing right now on SmackDown is more important. Logan Paul being involved with Roman Reigns in the Crown Jewel event, being focused on SmackDown only. And if Roman Reigns is able to make it over to Raw, I don't think they can do that right now because they can't afford to have Roman Reigns look bad if he's not making a spike in the ratings. Because even if he does go there, the core audience might actually follow along and there might be a little bit of a jump, but nothing too considerable to make them get back to over 2 million viewers before. And that's what the problem is. There are no draws on that show. And you can see all you want was about Sami Zayn having on 2 shows, or Solo Sikoa on 2 shows, the Bloodline trying to rub that off over there, and having Theory and Gargano and Drew McIntyre and Alpha Academy and all this stuff going on, and just trying to have a few stars that are going to cross over to other shows. But if Raw is going to be doing that, it's going to suffer. Brawling Brutes coming on to take on Pretty Deadly for the NXT titles. Same night. Instant feud, instant match. and you put that on and the audience for NXT drops for a third week, that's not good signs altogether. They have to figure what's going on here. And by the way, they also have to worry about the fact of Logan Paul. You're going to put a spotlight on him in this match with Roman Reigns. And you know what? He's not doing any favors right now, where he's been very vocal on a number of different things. The newest thing he has right now, because Logan Paul can be of criticism. He's now attacking another celebrity wrestler because Bad Bunny had appeared several times on TV, a bunch of times on TV, remember? And Bad Bunny, a couple weeks ago, put out a video. Actually, it was a dual video because he actually, for his album Verano Sin Ti, the big album that just like blew up the spot. He's been on tour. He's been selling out everywhere. Bad Bunny decided to put out a video combining two of his top songs and then taking it and putting it into basically a documentary type feel. For 22 minutes, they're talking about the issues going on with Puerto Rico and the hardships they're having because of Hurricane Maria a couple of years ago hitting the island. The fact that the power grid, the power to the country, has not been fully restored. And the corruption of the government over there, which everybody knows there is. That's just politicians, right? Without pointing fingers or staying apolitical here. So the thing is, Logan Paul was pointed out as one of several top profile figures from America that moved over to Puerto Rico. And there's a clip on the Impulsive show where Logan Paul specifically says, I'm moving to Puerto Rico. The reason why is that people that move from America into Puerto Rico are not required to pay taxes on transactions like stocks or real estate. And Bad Bunny dropped a documentary to spotlight the gentrification caused by the law. So yeah, people taking advantage of Puerto Rico and changing, this cultural landscape that's over there. So Logan Paul defends himself over this video. He goes on the Philip DeFranco show. He says, quote, Bad Bunny is a Puerto Rican living in Puerto Rico who is probably taking advantage of the same tax program he is publicly condemning. I know this. I see things like this and it hurts. He says, it goes on to say, there are local Puerto Ricans that know about this. I see this music video that has stuck me in the middle of it that is surrounded by context that makes me look like a vulture in Puerto Rico. Yep. I get it. They're both, kind of guilty about this. Listen, Bad Bunny wanted to go ahead and, using his own home country as a tax haven. Yeah. I get it. The thing is that whatever business that Bad Bunny does, it's probably as an American company, not a Puerto Rican company. All his work, all his money is being made in America, more or less, I would imagine anyway. So for him to take advantage of it, no surprise there. But Logan Paul, he moved to Puerto Rico to take advantage of the tax haven, okay? So he doesn't like to be called out. And that's the problem, is that he's trying to defend himself, trying to protect whatever image he has. So what if you're a little sleazy, Logan Paul? We know you are. That's not a big deal. I don't think that WWE's not going to worry about that. Why would you? But he decided to defend himself and go on a political show to talk about it. Okay. We don't need this kind of thing going on. Now, this is completely outside of the scope of WWE, but do you really need people that are going to be kind of, fire starters like this? Do we need Logan Paul to be in this? He's going to be in and out. He'll do this Crown Jewel show as notice. His reason for doing it, because he's got his energy drink that he wants to be able to go ahead and market and sell in Saudi Arabia. That's his reason for going over there. And in return, he's doing a favor for WWE because he's under contract with them. And they'll give him this prize fighter type match with Roman Reigns. A one-off, which will be a squash or a glorified squash. They'll give him some more time where Roman Reigns, is in there for about a good 10, 12, 15 minutes with him to make it look good for the Saudi princess. And that's it. And that's what they're going to do with that. And then you go along and you need people that are going to be around. First of all, people that are not going to be starting up shit, number one. But then number two, you need some stars whether it's from within or you're going to bring up to the top, I don't know where they're going to come from. This is where you need some creativity, where Rob V, if this is the guy that's going to be the answer for this, they need to build some real significant things. Now, there are people they have right now that could be considered opponents for Roman Reigns. Bleacher Report puts a story out about it, and they pick the next best opponents for Roman Reigns in his next title match. They give 8 names. Braun Strowman is one, which we know they could do that. And we know that Braun Strowman already went after Roman Reigns on Smackdown in October 2020 and defended the title and won with his guillotine choke finisher. That's it. Number 7 is Karrion Kross. And according to the Bleacher Report, they think that this 2-time NXT champion now has already been immediately thrust into the main event scene on SmackDown, attacking Drew McIntyre. And when Reigns is out of the way, then Karrion Kross and Drew McIntyre is going to be the featured main event feud. Most likely. Now, they also say in the story that Kross shouldn't be built up so quickly to lose within a matter of months. Give him more time before they inevitably clash. Not to mention a one-on-one meeting between them at this point would be hurt because they're both heels. Number 6 is Shinsuke Nakamura, but we already know that they already had like some match before, and that was it. So Nakamura nearly faced Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble 2021 before his title opportunity was taken away. Gunther is number 5 in this list. And listen, he had a great match with Sheamus. Putting them and the Brawling Brutes, Imperium and Brawling Brutes together in a feud, that's fine. It works. So he's made the IC title look pretty good. And with the ring general, he's not been beaten. So you have that to go with you. But it's not a guy that I would see will be a main eventer that will be put up to that level. You got Kevin Owens after this, who's already gone after Universal title. That was late 2020 as well. And there were 3 battles they had, and there was constant interference from Jey Uso and Paul Heyman. So we already had that, but they could think about bringing it back up and stirring it back up because of the fact that Triple H is in control again. But if Romans is not going to be part of that, Brian Allers is stumped about it. A lot of other people are talking about it. They're saying in this story that Owens should team up with Sami Zayn and win the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles from the Usos. Which, yeah, that's fine. But again, the tag team titles don't mean as much as it does here for Roman Reigns. It's finding that singles title picture prominent and getting the title split so they can matter. And having some stars at the level of Roman Reigns. They need to have that. It's imperative for them to do that. Number 3 on this list is Roman Reigns. This would be Logan Paul, go up against Roman Reigns. Number 2 is Bobby Lashley. We know that Lashley and Reigns were title holders at the same time in 2021. They have faced each other in 2018, but only had 2 matches with each other and each won a match. And by the way, they're making a point here that Lashley never received the rematch for the title. He wasn't technically beaten at Elimination Chamber. Keep that in mind too. And number 1 would be Seth Rollins. Of course, you got the story. They've been friends going back to 2014. They did have a singles match at Royal Rumble 2022. Universal title was on the line. And Rollins pushed Reigns to his limit and came close to capturing the title on multiple occasions before Reigns intentionally got himself disqualified. And then rivalry was dropped. Rollins didn't pursue a rematch. And Rollins actually went on with Ariel Helwani and talked about the fact of how it would be good to go and see where Seth Rollins finally gets to be that top guy, because he's talking about that's the thing that's lacking for him. That's what's a void in his career. And truthfully, I think you got to get Seth Rollins to be there. Seth Rollins is the ultimate choice. If anybody right now, I believe, is feasible and viable to win the title off of Roman Reigns now is Seth Rollins. Period. But that's not saying enough. You can skyrocket Seth Rollins and see what happens, but they got to be some other stars. For them to really be where they need to be, they don't have an NXT right now. It's not Braun Breaker. It's not Toxic Attraction. It's not Andre Chase. It's not Grayson Waller. I don't think so. It's not Schism. It's not Joe Gacy. No. And it's not any of these NXT UK stars. I'm sorry, it's not. Ilya Dragunov and JD McDonough. No. These stars they have right now, you mean like just Johnny Gargano? No. Maybe Kieran Cross, if built right. But that epic, large-scale feel where the crowd's getting behind them. That's one of the things I haven't seen yet. We have to see that part come into play. But I don't know what you do with that. At the moment, we have to figure out where they're going to go next. And what they can do to build stars out of nowhere. And build them up to be such big names. Because this company's been incapable of really building stars. And listen, Roman Reigns, it took a long time to get him where he's at. A lot of things had to happen for him to get there. What do you do next? I don't know. But they're struggling right now. There has to be an answer. And I don't know what that is. They have top mid-card stars. On the Raw side, you could say that's Finn Balor. And Finn Balor, they want to make something big out of. I don't know how big a deal he can be. AJ Styles has been at the top before. Rey Mysterio has been at the top before. Edge has been at the top before. The Miz has been at the top before. But it's like there's a lot of stars here that have been there. And they've reached a certain echelon, a certain level. But there's not much more you can do with them. So what do you do next? That's the problem here. Like, what do you do next? You can't recycle and rehash and try to resurrect certain stars. That's not possible. I mean, listen. You might have seen them do that on NXT where Finn Balor goes back and he becomes a bigger deal again. They kind of resurrect his career, a little more of an edge. And where we've seen some certain NXT stars that have done well so far, but it's like, listen, something to be said about where they couldn't put Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley and keep them individually in their own spots. You had to put them together in a faction. As if we just have to go and retweak them, associate them, and consolidate them into something a little bit more important as Judgment Day becomes a faction of significance. It's the same idea where they're trying to do with Bloodline. It's a faction that kind of rules the roster. It's just not done that much yet because Edge also keeps getting the other hand on this group, and that's where it is. And sure, listen, they were able to conquer Dominic Mysterio, bring him on board. They wanted to go after AJ Styles to go on board, but then they rejected him because he rejected them. All that kind of stuff's fine. But it's like these stories of these stars have been around for so long. They have to find some fresh young talent that's going to make a mark, and they're going to hit big. Something's going to happen where they're going to just blow up. There is no star right now that gives that kind of vibe. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you bring back Bray Wyatt or Sasha Banks or whichever other stars you might have you can bring back. And it doesn't matter about anyone on that AEW roster is going to make a difference. If Andrade decided to get himself out of his contract and eventually go back to WWE, it's not going to make a difference. It's not. It will not. WWE's main roster does not have the star power needed to build a WrestleMania. And is Triple H going to have to do what Vince has done? He's going to have to bring part-timers back. Will that mean bringing back Goldberg? Will that mean bringing Logan Paul and continue to keep him in here because he fills a void? Hey, the fact that there's certain stars that don't like that Logan Paul's taking a spot, there is nobody, not saying there's nobody that's willing to take the spot or that could be qualified to take the spot. But to the shareholders, to the business side of the company, for the draw of merchandise, for the draw of fans, if you don't have Roman Reigns at a show, who's the other draw? Who's ultimately the other draw? Damage Control? I don't think so. Judgment Day? I don't think so. Bloodline? Absolutely. Even if you don't have Roman Reigns out there, the association with the Usos, with Solo Sikoa, with Sami Zayn, that's working. They're drawing off the back of Roman Reigns, who's initially the Bloodline tribal chief, the leader. So you got that going for you. Is it Brawling Brutes? No. Is it Imperium? No. We're seeing better matches. We're seeing longer matches. That's fine. That's to make the shows watchable. That's covering your core audience, but your core audience is not completely invested on sitting 3 hours to the show. They were for certain shows before football, but you know what? When football comes in, hey, watching Jimmy Garoppolo and Matthew Stafford going in a quarterback duel, people are going to watch that. And that's how it's going to work. So what else do you do to take care of that? I don't know. The next in line program, they want to take a little bit of a backseat. They want to go after some more actual legit wrestlers. There's nobody on the independent scene, nobody I can think of right now, that is being hunted down by anybody at the moment that will make much of a difference. Nobody that's poached from other rosters. Nobody from Impact or MLW. No. Nobody from NWA. There's nobody that's really catching fire out in the independent scene that we're hearing people going after. Like if AEW has people, they're bringing in people that are still former WWE's talent. You know, with Saraya coming in. You know, it's fine that she's in there. I don't know how much of a difference she makes because she still can't wrestle yet. But her and Britt Baker, that's a match to watch down the line. That'll be good to watch. That'll be fun. But then again, let's go and transition to AEW. Because AEW does have talent right now. MJF. You saw him at the start of the night. I can put money down. They're going to make 1 million viewers again tonight after Dynamite. They will. I believe that wholeheartedly. Because it turned out really good. And then you had people actually kind of paying attention to the fact that, oh, wow, that MJF might be kind of turning face. We might see that coming up. But when we look across the board and look at what they did tonight, the 3-year anniversary of AEW Dynamite, add an extra 15 minutes. You had a title match on there. And you had a few other things that were going on that were pretty good. A full card already set up, National Scissoring Day, which was a funny segment. They had a lot in this show. MJF Wheeler Yuta, MJF showing up in the ring as confident and as strong a wrestling style as much as he is behind the microphone. This guy is multifaceted. Yeah, I'll say this. If MJF was ever given the money to go over to WWE, I think he would pretty much kind of take a lot of stroke out of there. I think MJF would be very prominent if Triple H does right with him on that main roster. I don't know if it would ever happen, but they would have to do that. But MJF right now, he is the pillar that's going to make AEW be synonymous with that show. He's standing out a lot. And there are some teams right now among the younger crop of talent that are in the future that are getting over big. Okay? You're looking at stars they had out there that have gotten over big. Darby Allin is another one. Got in a featured match. Wardlow in another featured match. Big deal, by the way. I love that Prince Nana and the Embassy are back. It's a Ring of Honor faction from 2004, but with all the different incarnations, it's good to see Prince Nana back in a managerial form and going, we in the money, right? Good stuff in a TT Championship match with him and Brian Cage. Wardlow winning. and retaining. And then you look, of course, you see the likes of Toni Storm and Willow Nightingale and Athena that are part of this match, the 6-man tag. But I'll tell you what, people are infatuated, enamored over Jamie Hayter. She is a star. People want to see her break away from Britt Baker. That needs to happen soon. And this is where we need to see things come up. Jamie Hayter is a star. People are in love with this woman. I think she's great. I want her to break off soon. It's time for that. But they haven't done it yet. They will pull the trigger on that at some point, but I want to see Jamie Hayter succeed because she's a women's star that's on the rise, and you get to see she's like a very important pillar now, more than ever. It's just something about her. The Acclaimed, now you have this group, of course, using Billy Gunn to help kind of escalate these guys and elevate these guys up to a certain level. National Scissoring Day going over. Pretty interesting stuff with the Acclaimed. They are hot. The crowd was loving it. Ate it up. Hangman Adam Page, another one of these stars, has already been champion and been over the top. Roosh, great match with him tonight. And then Jungle Boy Jack Perry, also another pillar. With what they were doing to focus on what they were going on tonight, a couple of other young stars and Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara being featured. I didn't mention Wheeler Yuta at the beginning, but he should be also considered. That's a lot of good young crop of talent right there that are pulling in by themselves 1 million viewers or 1 million plus. But among right there of the stars, you're starting to build a great mid card of young talent that's going to be around for a long time if Tony Khan can hold on to them. After the WWE stars that they've had around, Andrade and Miro and Jake Hager and, Andrade's and all these others that have been around, Buddy Matthews. You're thinking about the fact that there's some of these WWE veteran stalwarts that might not be around afterwards because you don't want some of those contracts are going up. Some of those veterans from the WWE side that came to AEW, you might see them move away. Like, I really wouldn't be surprised if I see, I think Moxley and Danielson are very much set in staying. They're lifers for AEW. I believe that wholeheartedly. I think they're not going anywhere. Moxley loves where he's at. Danielson loves where he's at. But among the other stars, CM Punk, I don't see him after a while. I think FTR, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want to see FTR go, but I can see what they do. It'd be unfortunate. But, there's a lot to go on with all that they're doing of the stars that they have. Tony Khan in the 3 years has done a good job of keeping the young stars relevant and building them up. Because he has built stars, of course, to the mid-card and to a certain level for the AEW crowd. But the crowd's responding to them great. So if Tony Khan's able to do something to go ahead and get his mainstream audience to, rally the troops around, that's what's going to happen. Things like what the Acclaimed did with National Scissoring Day, that's one. MGF is another. And I think if you just get him out there to doing enough things, you can see some mainstream appeal going on for AEW down the line. But one of the things that have to be done as well is they have to worry about some of the things that are going on backstage with some of the veteran talent going after some of the other talent. So having the issues with All Out, Elite, CM Punk, and all that going on, Kenny Omega, all that still being an issue that has to resolve itself after their investigation. Sammy Guevara getting into tussles with the likes of Eddie Kingston and Andrade El Idolo, I don't know. There obviously have to be things that are going to have to be rectified for that because the report came out through TMZ. And Fightful Select and everybody else answered about it. So you know what? Tony Khan will have to answer, and he's going to have to put some consequences down for what happened because it's got out in the press. And this happened backstage. The discipline has to be continued. He has to be able to continue to put a firm fist down on all this kind of behavior backstage. even though it's not affecting anything that's going on the product, the TV product. But he has to worry about it. And I can understand why. So that's good to know. As long as he figures it out, that's what he has to do. Okay, got about 10 minutes left on the program. They're going to run through now preview predictions for Extreme Rules and for Bound for Glory coming up this weekend. Let's get into it. And so let's start with Bound for Glory. That's going to come up first. Scott D'Amore actually going to talk about some of the plans he wants to see for Impact Wrestling coming up for next year. He spoke with PW Insider. And we know that Impact is running events in the United States, and only this year did they start running TV tapings, where they're on the road again, and not just a Skyway studio. And so he says that he hopes that Impact Wrestling fans in Canada and the UK will see their stars live and in person in 2023. And one of the things was that Canada finally lifted a lot of the requirements that could potentially be problematic for coming into the country. And so they're going to try to make a return there and to the UK. Says, quote, it's time for us to get back out there and get to our fans around the world, which will be great. Get some really excited fans out there outside of this whole get-up. Now, one of the things that's got to be mentioned as well is, they have their show coming up this weekend. Bound for Glory, the big show. It's good, but you can tell that they're kind of struggling right now with, they have some stars now that they've been building up, but when they've had some turnaround, the loss of the AEW crossover, and the fact that they've kept this Honor No More thing going on for a while, and it's been very much Honor No More against Impact. This feud has been going on for a long time. They've stretched out for a long time. Now you got matches. All the titles are on the line. Start off with, first of all, you got a Call Your Shot gauntlet, of which the winner will get a title match of their choosing. And the competitors so far are PCO, Giselle Shaw, Rich Swann, Heath, Steve Macklin, Bhupinder Gujjar, Bobby Fish, who has now joined Impact Wrestling after AEW, and Moose. Impact Wrestling is going to enter a new inductee into the Hall of Fame, and that's Raven. Mickie James against Mia Yim. Obviously, Mickie James in the retirement storyline right now, where if she loses, she could very well end her career. And so I can see where Mia Yim might be the one that gets the win on Mickie James, and we'll make that happen. Especially with it being at Bound for Glory, I can see that where they're going to do that. So Mia Yim with a big win on Mickie James to retire her, I think that will actually happen. As for Call Your Shot gauntlet, I'm going to go with Steve Macklin to win that Call Your Shot gauntlet. The Impact Digital Media title will be on the line. It'll be an open challenge where Brian Myers will defend the title. We don't know who it's going to be. So they'll find some surprise person to go out there and do it, whatever it is. The Knockouts Tag Team titles on the line. Vex, Deonna Purrazzo, and Chelsea Green against Taya Valkyrie and Jessica. And I think Vex will win. Actually, no, I'm going to say it's Taya and Jessica. I think that's where they're going to go because they've already built Jessica out to be outside of the Elden Realm. She's no longer Havoc. She's this other character. The same thing with Su Yung and Susan, right? Same thing with that. The tag team titles, Honor No More's Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, the title holders, will take on the Motor City Machine Guns. And I think the Guns will win. I do. Then you got the Knockouts title, Jordynne Grace versus Masha Slamovich. I'll take Jordynne Grace for the win. Speedball Mike Bailey against Frankie Kazarian for the X Division title. I will take Mike Bailey for that win. And Josh Alexander versus Eddie Edwards. Ooh. They could go Honor No More. I don't know what the contract deal is. But sure, Matt and Mike could win. And they continue to hold on to those belts. And then Eddie Edwards wins. And Honor No More continues as a faction going into the new year. I don't know if I want that or not. I'm going to go with Josh Alexander winning. It's not an exciting, or if we're getting that kind of preview and predictions, that's not going to be overly exciting honor Bound for Glory, but it'll be a good show. It's not as good as previous years. It's a little bit flat. And that's unfortunate, but that's where they are right now. The rosters that we have out there, there's not going to be any surprises coming out of nowhere significantly. So they're going to just go with who they have right now. Now, let's go on the Extreme Rules, which is on Saturday night. A lot of matches being scheduled. Extreme Rules match for the Smackdown Women's title. Liv Morgan defends against Ronda Rousey. And I'm going to take Liv Morgan to win. I will say that what they were doing with Liv Morgan before Triple H came in and the continuation, Liv Morgan's over. Liv Morgan she's made her way up the ranks. She's now been another woman that is in a good contention, a good spot. I think she's done very well for herself. Better than I thought. I downplayed Liv Morgan for a while, and I was wrong. And I'm glad she's doing so well. I'm happy. Only difference is she actually going to beat Ronda Rousey again. Well, it's an Extreme Rules match, so they could have something happen where it can be. But I'm going to take Liv Morgan to win. Because I think Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler need to be in a feud themselves. That's what really needs to happen. That's just me. Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle in a fight pit match, and the special guest referee is Daniel Cormier. So I'll take Matt Riddle in this match because this has got to be his wheel well. Raw Women's title is a ladder match, Bianca Belair versus Bayley. I think Bayley wins. Just to go along with the fact that her title win and knowing that we'll have the women's tag team title still in place with Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Yeah, Damage Control holds all the belt. I think that's where they wanted to go with this all together. And that storyline comes into here, and then Bianca comes back and faces Bayley in a rematch. They'll keep going. I got to see where Bianca and Bayley will rematch each other at Crown Jewel. I think that would happen. Edge versus Finn Balor in an I Quit match. Oh, man. I mean, I can see Edge being taken on this match and winning it. I'm going to go with Finn Balor. We'll go a little different. And another big, good old-fashioned Donnybrook, Brawling Brutes versus Imperium. Interesting. And I'll take the Brawling Brutes over Imperium. That I'm going to do. I think Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci will be one of those guys that will be pinned. That I do think will happen. Where I think things will go. Man, it's not going to be easy, but like I said, this weekend, I'm going to try to do my best to go and cover everything that's going on here. So like I said, first of all, Bound for Glory is going to have to take a little bit of a delay before I get to talking about it. Sunday night is when I'll probably talk about it. As for Saturday night, I will go ahead and talk about, Saturday night I'm going to go ahead and talk about Extreme Rules. We'll do a post show for that. And then Sunday night I will do a post show for Bound for Glory. I'll put some comments and things together and go that route. I mean, if I had the time, I would try to do Bound for Glory and Extreme Rules together, but I'm not going to have time to do that. I don't think so. It will be nice to do that, but I'm not going to try to make that stretch. It'll be too much for me to cover. I want to be able to watch Bound for Glory pretty much in its entirety, so I want to watch it with time, and I'll watch it on Sunday, but enough time on the weekend to go and catch it. I hope everybody will not mind that. We'll just leave it there. And honestly, I'd love to hear from all of you in the audience, because I'd love to know what you think about what I'm talking about so far with this main event roster thing. Like I said, I have been consistently thumping on this issue forever. Like if I go back to past episodes right now, I can look back and see all my past headlines. Last week I talked about it. Week before with Logan Paul, talked about that. And then I talked about the Monday Night Football situation before that. Like I said, I've gone 1, 2, 3. This is my 4th week consistently talking about what's going on with this main event picture. This needs to come into where things need to go. And I gave them quite a bit of talk about the mid-card momentum going back to Clash of the Castle. But we've been a month now since then. That big show is great. They got that Crown Jewel show coming up. And Logan Paul, Roman Reigns is the only thing that's booked so far. What else are they going to do next? when they are confronted with these big shows, like next year with Royal Rumble and WrestleMania right off the bat, what are they going to do? Fill those seats to get that crowd out there to watch these shows. Not NXT takeovers type stuff. Not with the Garganos and the Crosses and the Priests and the Ripleys of the world that are going to be featured. Okay? We're talking about major draws. They have to be Bloodline worthy size magnitude draws. Who's that going to be? And so what I'm wondering is this Rob Fee character going to be able to do something? Can it happen? That's what I want to find out. Hopefully we'll find that out soon enough. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for listening in, finding the show as you always do. Come back for another Wrestling Whisperer podcast this weekend. Enjoy Extreme Rules. Enjoy Bound for Glory, because wrestling needs us.